Welcome to The Man Who Woke Up the Buddha. This is Season 4, Episode 12, entitled Ain't No Then No More. Previously, Sid and Marcus visited the best hardware store in the world, where a wall-sized flag triggered a repeat visit from the Arctic explorer Roald Amundsen, who suggested explorers plant flags that represent all of humanity, not just their own country. At the end, Sid explained that they were going to try to discover a passage past the library without running into his friend Melvin. When Sid and Marcus walked back down to the main floor of R&W Hardware, Marcus turned right towards the front door, and Sid turned left towards the back, calling out to Renee, "Is LJ's bulkhead door unlocked?" "Yes, but you be careful on those stairs, Sid. Marcus, keep him from doing anything stupid." I guess miracles can happen, the Buddha thought. Marcus threw his arms up, the universal symbol for, "Do I look like a miracle worker?" as he followed Sid down a set of stairs to the basement, or what had become known as LJ's bedroom. In addition to an inflatable Easter bunny, Statue of Liberty, and Santa Claus, who would make their cameos in the front window during Easter, the 4th of July, and Christmas, respectively, there were racks of shelving with strange objects on them that made the collection in the upstairs office look brand new. Over by the bulkhead was a large mattress with a neatly spread blanket and a pillow with a Donald Duck pillowcase that had 2 gumballs on top. On the side of the mattress there was a small lamp, a water bottle, and a heavily annotated copy of Dr. Seuss's "Oh, the Places You'll Go." "Get away from there," Marcus yelled as Sid approached the bulkhead steps. He quickly jogged a couple of steps to get ahead of his oldest, in every sense of the word, friend, climbed up the 6 crumbly cement steps, and ducked so he could push open the left bulkhead door, climb out, and pull open the right, reaching down to give Sid a steadying hand, which was immediately swatted away. They walked around the dumpster that concealed the bulkhead, and stepped into the small employee parking area behind the store. "So this is the secret back way to the library?" Marcus asked. "No, it's the secret northwest passage past the library," Sid explained. "Amundsen would have approved." "Too bad we don't have Beacher to pull our sleds." "Now you're getting the idea." The alley led to a parking lot above and behind the library, where they paused so Sid could catch his breath and, as he put it, get his head screwed back on straight, which he did by readjusting his woolen Red Sox hat as if it were a custom Panama, and he was a backup singer for Bad Bunny. Between plowing, salting, and the sun dragging the temperature kicking and screaming above freezing, the parking lot was far easier to navigate than the sidewalk. "So why are you trying to avoid this Melvin guy?" Marcus asked, now strolling safely alongside Sid. "Avoid?" Sid asked. "Outwit, perhaps. You see, Marcus, Melvin is no ordinary street person. He would never hold a cardboard sign, let alone walk up to people with a pitiful puppy dog expression on his face and make up some story about why he needs money for his sleeping bag because his got stolen. No, Melvin is a cross between an everyday street hustler, Zen master, and the crooked director of a nonprofit. Not that there's much difference," he added. You didn't hear that from me, the Buddha thought, although it's within range of the truth. "So who does his nonprofit serve?" Marcus asked, gently easing Sid over towards a row of parked cars as an SUV passed by looking for a space. "Himself, of course," Sid explained. "And what exactly is your friend Melvin's fundraising strategy?" "The same as anyone raising money for a struggling nonprofit." "Too bad we don't have any spray paint," Sid said, gesturing towards the graffiti-strewn retaining wall on the other side of the parking lot. The Buddha was already looking at it. "Hold tight to wonder," one said with a smile face. The word truth under a sign that said no dumping. A big L love. An exploding heart inside an exploding sun. The words pure joy, with a poor man's Keith Haring figure jumping for joy. Why didn't they think of doing that to record my allegedly sacred truths, the Buddha thought, instead of trying to memorize them or scribbling them on scrolls? "Hey, Sid Buddha," Marcus asked, "who does all that graffiti?" "Friends of mine." "Figured. Surprised the town hasn't painted it over." There's no way to cover up the truth, the Buddha thought. "Marcus, the truth cannot be covered up. But it is too bad I don't have a can of spray paint myself, because to truly explain Melvin's strategy, as well as many of the voices in my head, I need Venn diagrams, or perhaps one of those things with lots of boxes and lines and squiggles between them. I love those. They remind me of the plays our basketball coach drew up in high school. I didn't understand them either. Probably why he urged me to try out for wrestling. Actually, I'm sure Sister could explain it in one sentence with little punctuation, less logic, and more insight. In other words, the truth, the Buddha thought. Well, do the best you can, Marcus said skeptically but encouragingly. I'll try to follow along without the visuals. Okay, Dragonfly. We agreed. No more insects, Marcus objected. You agreed, Sid insisted, before returning to describing Melvin's business strategy. First, Melvin reaches out to prospective donors, cultivates relationships, a consultant would call it, by saying to someone walking past who looked like a prospective donor, Hey, what's up, in his devastatingly charming way, or, well, all right. Those are his two basic greetings, either of which make you feel you're on the same page, even if you suspect you're reading different books, or at least in different translations. Then he turns his body, bends over a little, and rolls it up until he's facing the other direction, a poor man's Michael Jackson move, and walks away with a "catch you later" that feels like a promise you've asked him to make. To Marcus's dismay, Sid fell against a parked car as he tried to imitate Melvin's move. Sid, I got the idea already. He tried to teach me that move. I'm determined to master it before I die. Oh, Jesus, Marcus said. Buddha. So at the end, Sid picked up the story, he'll give a little laugh like the two of you just completed a perfect basketball pick and roll. You're on the same team. So you think, what the heck, and give him a small donation the next time you see him. Maybe say something like, hey, get yourself a cup of coffee. You don't really know why you did it, but you give him a little more the next time. Maybe ask his name, although Melvin hates answering personal questions. Eventually, he's cultivated, in your do-gooder heart, the perfect blend of goodwill and generosity, with touches of guilt and self-righteousness as needed. Soon he acts like you made an unspoken and perhaps unrealized pledge of weekly or monthly contributions, until eventually you take part in his annual fund drive. It's really no different than passing the plate at Sunday services. Despite himself, Marcus was impressed. So was the Buddha. That would have saved us a lot of wooden bowls, and taught us that the way to withdraw from the world is to dive headlong into it. As you may suspect, I'm one of Melvin's major donors. I've suggested he put me on the board of directors. He suggested I put him on salary. Okay, and how do you know Melvin's at the library right now? Because he was at the town common. I didn't see him. Oh, he was behind the statue of the Civil War general who allegedly helped free his great-great-great-grandfather from slavery. If you were all-seeing, like myself, you would have just seen the cigarette smoke floating out from the general's bayonet. You see, Melvin knows I'm incapable of walking past the hardware store without stopping, and that my next stop is invariably the library. Hold on a second, I need to call the front desk. Hi, Joni, is Melvin in his seat? Thanks. No, I won't be there today. Can you hold it for me? What's she holding for you? Marcus asked, as Sid put the phone back in his pocket. Latest issue of Gumball Gazette. This will be easy. He's waiting for us at the library. Just follow me. We'll do some evasive maneuvers as we walk back to the car. They walked out of the parking lot, went a block, turned left, turned right, turned left, turned right. When they finally got to the street where they left the car and turned right, they found Melvin leaning against the crosswalk light. Money, 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 he asked, although the answer was obvious to all three of them. Okay, Marcus, let's see if you've been paying attention. How much do I have left? Sid asked, trying to turn the encounter into a teaching moment. Except for the fact that you're the one who needs to learn the lesson, the Buddha pointed out. Well, Marcus took a pretend pad out of his pocket and began itemizing with a pretend pencil. You started with $100. Breakfast in the newspaper were like $13? $12.50, Sid said, but you might as well round up. What did you give that girl Becca, 20? Sid nodded. Does the money you told the daycare teacher to put on your bill at Shorty's for hot chocolate count? No, Sid said sadly. Melvin only deals in cash. Melvin gave one of his signature expressions that landed somewhere between a hoot and a guffaw. Then he tapped Sid on the shoulder. That's right, Dad. Okay, then, Marcus said, returning to his calculations, you gave that Danny guy $42 gas money so his buddy would drive him to see his wife in the hospital. At that, Melvin tilted his head and rolled his eyes in disgust. So you should have about 25 left. Melvin shook his head disapprovingly. Cut it out, Melvin, Sid said, as authoritatively as he could. Remember the days when I only gave you a few bucks? There ain't no then, no more, Melvin laughed. The Buddha thought. He is a truly wise fool, that rarest of souls. Yeah, Sid said. I warned my friend you lived only in the now. Your friend got any money? Marcus shrugged and tried to look innocent, as Sid reached into his back pocket to pull out a 10, left back pocket to pull out 2 5s, and front left pocket to pull out 5 1s. Melvin, what are you going to do when I die? You ain't dead yet, Dad, giving Sid a fist bump as he began his signature turn, somehow holding his other fist out to give one to Marcus as he walked away. Marcus watched him go. You're right, the guy's a genius, he said. But Sid wasn't watching Melvin, or listening to Marcus. He was grinning and looking up at the sky. Hey, what are you grinning about? Marcus asked. I think he finally saw the light, the Buddha grinned back. By the way, the characters in the last several posts are based on some of my friends who live on the street by day and wherever they can at night, as first chronicled in my Street Cred series. Except for Melvin, the names and details of their lives have been changed, and LJ is a total figment of Sid and my imagination. While Melvin's depiction is maybe a little over the top, it's pretty accurate. For a more detailed version, see the very first Street Cred piece, which is also titled Ain't No Then, No More. Thanks for listening to The Man Who Woke Up the Buddha.